And we selected January 15 for a purpose. Of course, the work that we're doing really aligns well with that dream, that vision of Martin Luther King. Again, we are going beyond that dream. So that dream was really important, and we saw that as that stepping stone. But for us, how do we go from the dream to what we consider that reality? So we're here to share some of the great work that we have been doing over the last 5 years, and we're actually celebrating our 5th year. Can you imagine? It wasn't that long ago we actually started out as an interest group. And for people that know me well, when somebody said you can't do something, because, you know, we started out as the Rhode Island Black Chamber of Commerce, and people said, well, you know, why do you want to start a chamber? There's you know, plenty chambers in the state, but we know that mostly large chambers focus on large businesses, right? And we're focused on what we call small business, your mom and pop, and entrepreneur, and just people that really care about the urban core. So again, 5 years with a volunteer-led organization, that is really wonderful. So I think you should give us a little love. Again, this is a volunteer-led organization. Just very recently, we actually opened our doors, so we were meeting in borrowed space, and back in September, we actually opened our doors. We actually have a really nice office, and we also have 3 staff, part-time, and wonderful volunteers. So before I go any further, I'm going to ask my board of directors. I want you all to come up here so I'm not standing by myself, so people can see you all. Again, this is a volunteer-led organization, but it's very important that you see Simon Gudiabi and Melvin Veasley. Please come up, board members. Come up, and Rhonda, you can come on up as well. I think it's important, Ken Bell, that people see the dedicated folks in Rhode Island that are really stepping up and volunteering and giving of their time to ensure that we move our goals and objective forward as it relates to creating opportunities not just for some business owners, but all business owners. And we know when small businesses are doing well, historically, we've seen it across the country. We know when small businesses are doing well, we know they create jobs, needed jobs, and we know in our urban communities we have an extremely high unemployment rate. You know, I know people talk about that 5%, 5.5% from a state perspective, but we know in the urban communities it's really, really higher in those areas. And what we're trying to do is really to ensure that minority firms owned by people of color are really thriving so they can create really needed jobs. So we're missing Beverly Dwyer. I know she's out there front, but these are some of our board members. Beverly is also our first vice president. Again, thank you all for all that you do, and thanks for the work of the Rhode Island Black Business Association. I know Senator Reed is on a crunch time, so I'm just going to have him come up and give us a few remarks before he gets on a flight.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Lisa. Thank you for letting me share with you the celebration and commemoration of the 5th anniversary of the Rhode Island Black Business Association, and also the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. King's dream was multifold. It was giving people an opportunity to work in a business, but also giving people an opportunity to start and grow a business. And that's what the Black Business Association is doing so much to promote. So thank you for all you do. I'm delighted to be here with my colleagues in government, and I'm sure I'll miss someone. I apologize, but Secretary of State Gorbea, General Treasurer Magaziner, Senator Lombardi, I think Senator Metz, my old friend and one of the few colleagues that are still serving in the Senate as I served with him, Representative Lancia, I think later the governor and the speaker will be here. But we're all here to salute what you're doing, to thank you for what you're doing. The Business Association, all the board members, and also I want a special shout out to John Cruz and Tony Botello for all the work they do here. And I must also say this has been a great opportunity to me to see some old friends and to renew some old acquaintances, so thanks so much. We understand that the engine that drives the country forward is small business, and we have to help small business in many ways. One way that I've tried to do it, and working with the city, and I think Mayor Laws will be here shortly, is through the Community Development Block Grant Program. It's a very flexible program. It provides resources to the city. In fact, this year we've appropriated about $30 billion nationwide, and part of that, which flows to the state and directly into Providence, is going to be used to support some of your initiatives. One is the JC Electric initiative, which is underway. But there are so many things we have to do, but we cannot do it. It won't work unless you have the incredible dynamic leadership that you're showing today to foster, to contribute, and to show examples of success. So let me thank you, and I hope to be back to celebrate your 10th anniversary, your 20th anniversary. Well, I'm pushing it, but I hope I'm invited back. Thank you. Thank you much.
Thanks, Senator Jackford. We appreciate it, and safe travels. All right, at this time I'm going to call up Jim Vincent, from the president of NAC Providence Branch, to just share a little bit about the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King and what he stood for and how it aligns to the work of the Black Business Association.
Well, thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Rhode Island Black Business Association. It's certainly an honor and a privilege to be here on your 5th anniversary. You've done such a tremendous job. All of you should be commended for the hard work that you've put in to make something that is so vital, black business, first and foremost in so many people's minds. Now, when Lisa called me yesterday to put together some remarks, I said, let me try to focus in on something that King said in terms of the economy, because most people talk about, the social justice aspect of King's legacy, and that's important. But he said a lot of things about the economy near the end of his life. So at a union meeting in New York on March 10th, 1968, which is less than a month before his death, he spoke about the other America. He said economics rights were always important in terms of his vision of a more just society. It was clear from his words that night that economic issues were becoming the central focus of his advocacy. King explained that now our struggle is for genuine equality, which means economic equality. For we know that it isn't enough to integrate lunch counters. What does it profit a man to be able to eat at an integrated lunch counter if he doesn't earn enough money to buy a hamburger and a cup of coffee? Progress is meaningless, he said, when the economy expands and stock values rise, but millions of people remain unemployed or underpaid without health care, a pension, or economic security. And he said that March 10th, 1968. He could have said that yesterday. Crime, drug use, and violence in poor urban neighborhoods were, in King's view, derivative transgressions compared with the crimes of policymakers who constructed the unequal system. King believed structural change in the economy was essential to ending poverty. True compassion is more than flinging a coin to a beggar. It comes to see that an edifice which produces beggars, that needs restructuring. Before his death, and perhaps leading to why he was assassinated, King began organizing a Poor People's Campaign, an interracial movement of the poor and working class to descend on Washington and demand change. One of his final statements was, "We will be greatly misled if we feel that the problem will work itself out. Structures of evil do not crumble by passive waiting, but require the battering rams of justice." So my message to you all, keep pushing. Keep pushing. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, for those remarks. Senator Metz is here. Senator Metz is going to come and share a few words with us, please.
Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here I just came from the Tyoke Elementary School in Coventry talking to some third graders. And what a great sense of fairness and justice they have at that age. I don't know what happens to us as we get older. But thank God for the children. And I certainly, it's my honor to be here with you today, especially as we celebrate and remember the legacy of the late Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. I want to congratulate Lisa Ranglin, and the members of RIBBA for their advocacy for the black and minority-owned businesses. We all support your efforts knowing that diversity will contribute to the success of the Rhode Island economy. It is also an honor for me to represent Senate President Piper Weed in the Rhode Island Senate, and I did see Senator Lombardi from Cranston, and I know there's some other colleagues of mine here, but if I see him, I'll point him out, but I did see him walking through the door. But President Piper Weed is a strong supporter of our state's minority-owned businesses. She has been a stalwart proponent of building an education system that serves all of Rhode Island as well and prepares them for the workforce of today and tomorrow. She recognizes that there's always been absolutely critical support and has always critical support for minority-owned businesses in order for our economy to thrive, and that the importance of a thriving minority business community will only grow as the state's demographics change in the 21st century. So under the leadership of President Piper Weed, the Senate looks forward to working collaboratively with RIBBA and other partners to meet the challenges facing the minority businesses, from regulatory hurdles to access to capital, and to move towards mutual goal of a thriving economy that serves us all. Now, one of Dr. King's favorite scriptures was Amos chapter 5, verse 24, but let judgment run down as waters and righteousness as a mighty stream. And this brings to mind for me the proverb about not just giving a hungry man a fish, but teaching him to fish for himself. We are gathered here today on this King recognition to promote and support the goals of RIBBA and the community at large. The struggles and challenges of our businesses remain bonding and insurance, access to capital, increasing capacity through collaboration, and laws, policies, and procedures, and the lack of enforcement that stymie and do an end run around minority business participation. There should be participation goals at all levels, high and low, and not at amounts that allow the status quo to continue, excluding businesses of color. And the example that I'll give, it should be participation at all levels. And I haven't had a chance to research it yet, but someone brought to my attention somewhere if there's $500,000 for a contract, that they don't have to participate in the minority goals. So you know what happens when that takes place. The job is going to be written so that all the contracts are going to be under $500,000. And then if the only minority participation is for jobs over $500,000, maybe some of our small businesses don't have that capacity. So there's all kind of games being played, and we have to be vigilant. So leveling the playing field and being committed to equal opportunity is the key to black and minority-owned business success. It was Dr. King that said that justice too long delayed is justice denied. And Booker T. Washington said, at the bottom of education, at the bottom of politics, even at the bottom of religion, there must be for our race economic independence. So in closing, when it comes to economic justice, and really all justice, we must remain vigilant, because if Dr. King was worried about anything, it was, and I quote, stagnant passivity and deadening complacency. We must wake up, because the struggle for justice and equality continues. And again, RIBBA, thank you for your needed advocacy and the commitment to diversity and equal opportunity, and may God continue to bless your endeavors to this end. Thank you for inviting me. And Lisa, keep up the good work. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, Senator Metz. I can't tell, has the governor arrived or Speaker Mattiello? All right, so while we're waiting for additional speakers, I'm... Governor... Oh.
We've been practicing that all week.
All right, so the next speaker that you will hear from is, of course, our own Governor Gina Raimondo. Governor.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. This is a fabulous turnout. Thank you all for being here. And thank you. You're amazing. And you do so much work, and you're always at it. Great to be with you, Senator Metz, the Treasurer, Nancy Cariolo. It's great to be here, and I think I just missed Senator Reid, or maybe he's still here. But anyway, thank you all for being here. Monday, of course, is the holiday, but it's important that we take the weekend, really, to pause and reflect on the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. But for my part, I always think it's even more important to ask ourselves, what are we doing day in and day out to make Rhode Island a more just place and a place of equal opportunity where nobody's left behind? Because that's really the challenge, right? It's one thing to get together and say Martin Luther King was an amazing man and changed the course of history forever, and that's true. And it's a great thing we come together to celebrate that. But the only real way to honor that is to get up every day and work until Rhode Island is a place of fairness and justice and equal opportunity. And by the way, it's not right now. It's not right now. Now, I'm pleased, so I've been governor for a year. In that time, we've raised the minimum wage, and I'd like to raise it even further, and that's something that helps people of color disproportionately, in particular women. I also advocated for and was successful in expanding the Earned Income Tax Credit. That gives folks opportunity, especially people of color. We also created a new scholarship fund called Rhode Island's Promise. I hope you all know about it and take advantage of it. It's a last dollar scholarship program. On account of that program, half of the students at CCRI this year are going for free, and the majority of people taking advantage of that scholarship are people of color. We started a new program, Small Business Loan Fund, which we're about to roll out and working very closely with Lisa and the community. That is meant to target especially microloans, especially folks in the community who might not have equal access to banks, but who have good ideas and who need capital to start their businesses. So this is what we're doing, and I'm reaffirming my commitment to you again today to continue to work with my partners in the legislature who have been great partners to move Rhode Island even further. A big focus of my work this year is going to be around making our criminal justice system more fair and just. That has to happen. Earlier this year, or I guess last year, I convened a group of stakeholders called the Justice Reinvestment Working Group. And they came forth with some fantastic proposals, and I want to work collaboratively with the legislature this year to see what we can get done. Rhode Island is off the charts in the number of people we have on probation, off the charts in how long we keep people on probation. And I don't need to tell you that justice isn't always fair. Too many people in the ACI and on probation and parole are disproportionately people of color. So in fixing this, in reducing probation, and in making the system fairer, we're making Rhode Island a better and safer place, but we're doing the right thing for people in our community who are working hard and deserve a second chance and shouldn't have their whole lives ruined because they made a mistake when they were young and shouldn't be on probation for decades. So I'm going to work hard on that, and also just continue to say to you, don't get discouraged. As I think about the legacy of Dr. King, the thing I most take away is his enduring hope in the face of an often hopelessness situation. And that is our challenge. It is easy to look around and look at the statistics of poverty, of income gap, of disparity in public schools, and see the people of color bear the burden the most and lose hope. But on this weekend, let us recommit ourselves and be refreshed by being together and have a sense of hope that if we keep working, we will make progress and Rhode Island will become a fairer place for everybody. And so I'm just going to keep working, and I'm going to keep listening to you and keep doing what I'm doing and asking you for your continued support so we can all work together to move this place forward. Thank you for having me, and I just see the mayor's joined us. I also will end with a citation, which I'm very proud and pleased to give to you. It is a citation from me, the governor, expending my personal best wishes to the Rhode Island Black Business Association in recognition of the 5th anniversary, celebrating a year of action in creating opportunity and building community. You're a woman of action. You're a people of action. Let's do this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. We certainly appreciate your words, and thank you for all that you do. The next speaker you'll hear from is our Mayor of Providence, Mayor Elorza. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Lisa. Thank you for 5 years of leadership with RIBBA. It's amazing just how quickly time passes. But I want to give you a special word of credit. I've been involved with a number of different organizations, and I know that things don't happen on their own, and moving the ball forward isn't easy. And you need a great team, you need a great group around you, but you also need a leader with dogged persistence who's not going to take no for an answer, has her eyes on the prize, and you all who know her know that she's not going to be stopped. So please, another big round of applause for the leader here, Lisa Ranger. And I see a number of truly great leaders in government and in the community and in industry here in the room. I'm sorry I can't go around and name everyone, but just off, thank you to the governor, thank you, President, thank you, Senator Metz, for everything that you do, Treasurer. I see Councilman Wilbur Jennings there as well. My colleague in the City Council, Councilwoman Mary Kay Harris. I see Cliff Montero in the back, I see Dr. Wayne Montague, just so many folks, and I just want you to know that I appreciate all of your leadership and everything that you do in the community. So we're here to do a couple of things. We're here to recognize and congratulate RIBBA on their 5 years of continuing to move the ball forward. We're also here to pay tribute to the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. And every year around this time, I always go back and I read Dr. King's perhaps his most famous speech, "I Have a Dream" speech. And every time you read it, there's always something new that you pick up from it. And so preparing for this event, what really stood out to me in the speech was that we all know that he was a champion for civil rights, for social rights, rights in education, rights around housing. But very much so, Martin Luther King's message was around economic rights as well. If you remember, the metaphor that he draws in his speech is that African Americans had been given a promissory note, and they had come to Washington, D.C. to cash that check. And unfortunately, for many generations, as African Americans went to cash that check, they received the check back with a note saying insufficient funds. And so, it's very telling that he would couch that message in economic terms, because those same challenges that they faced 50 and 60 years ago, and those are the exact same challenges that we face today. And we're working very hard at the community level and working with our partners such as RIBBA to make sure that we address these issues. And at the city level, there are a number of steps that we're taking, a number of steps that I'm excited to share with you. Today I was out in Worcester, Massachusetts, visiting their technical high school. It really is an incredible, incredible building that they have. And we have a beautiful career and technical academy right in our own community, right in the heart of Providence, PCTA. And there's a lot of great work happening there. But let me tell you, after having seen the school in Worcester, I could tell you that we have a ways to go. I am committed to promoting and supporting career and technical education, because while I believe that every single one of our children have to be prepared for the world of college, truth is that college isn't the only way to be successful nowadays. And there are many other paths, and we have to provide those multiple pathways for our kids. And so I created a career and technical education task force that's hard at work, and they'll be providing a list of recommendations to me shortly. But I want to enlist your help in helping me and helping us make Providence Career and Technical Academy the envy of the entire United States for how career and technical education should be done. We're going to get it done, and we're going to get it done working together. Also, we are working very hard on summer learning opportunities. The research here is really compelling. The research is telling us that our kids are starting off kindergarten already behind. And for our students who don't have access to summer enrichment opportunities, they're only falling further and further behind during the summer. Whereas middle-class kids or suburban kids who do have access to those summer enrichment programs, they're inching forward during the summer. And the gap grows and grows and grows. And then at the end of the process, when they're graduating high school, we're graduating far too many kids, far too many students who have to take remedial classes at community college. That's just wrong. That's just wrong, and we're going to fix that. We're also tackling issues such as gun violence in our community. Gun violence is such a scourge that we've been dealing with, and that's an issue that all of the large New England cities are working on. And so we're working regionally with all of our partners throughout New England to make sure that we're sharing best practices and making sure we're working together to trace these illegal guns, many of which are coming from New Hampshire and southern states, and finding their ways into the hands of our young people in the streets. So that's a very, very important priority. And as we continue to provide more safety and more opportunity in our neighborhoods, we're also focusing a great deal on cleaning up our neighborhoods, making them the pride of our communities. And so I launched an initiative where we're going to fix every single abandoned property in our neighborhood in the next 6 years. Every single abandoned property. I'll tell you, I'm very excited about that, and what I am perhaps just as excited about is that not only are we going to fix them, but we've designed the project, the initiative, so that instead of having one large company, perhaps even a large company from out of state come in, instead of doing that, we've chopped up the work into small pieces so that folks in our community, the small contractors, the small businesses, the minority-owned businesses, the women-owned businesses, they're the ones that are going to be doing this work. And so what we're going to have is we're going to be fixing our community, by our community, and for our community, the way that it should be done. So I'm very excited about that. That work is already underway. We're going to make sure we continue. And, last, there's a lot that we're doing around the city with workforce development. We're completely transforming our workforce solutions and our workforce development department in our city. And as part of that work, as part of a larger strategy, it's also been great to partner with with RIBBA and with Lisa to provide support for the programs and services that they'll offer. There'll be more to come on this in the future, but this is just part of the investment that the city is making in ensuring that our community, that our folks have these strong workforce development opportunities available to them and have those doors open to them so that they can grow and expand their businesses. So thank you so much for everything that you do. I am committed to making sure that we not only, move the needle, but make sure we start seeing concrete and dramatic changes in our community. But we can't do it alone. We need your support. We need a strong and healthy RIBBA. We need strong and healthy community-based organizations. And coming together, we're going to make sure that all happens. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Really appreciate your remarks there. So we're going to jump around on the program slightly. I'm going to, as some of you probably recalled, we talked about a $200,000 that we actually received from the City of Providence back in October, part of the CDBG program. And as a result of that $200,000, we actually created a collateral support program, and we're really excited about our partnership, not just with the City of Providence, but also with a bank in Greenville, Freedom National Bank, and we have the president here, Mr. Tony Batella. But before Tony comes up, I'm going to invite Brian Hull, who is the director of the Community Development Program, just to share, a little bit about what we've been doing. Again, twisting his arm around ensuring that we're able to really expand the program so we can create needed opportunities and create loans, provide loans and technical support. So, Brian, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here on behalf of the mayor for the City of Providence. My name is Brian. I'm the Director of Community Development for the City of Providence, and for the mayor, I administer the federal entitlement programs that come into the city as about $7.5 million. One of the programs is a Community Development Block Program. This is where the $200,000 came from. There was an acute awareness and recognition on behalf of the administration and the mayor in particular that there was a gap between the lending rates between banks and businesses and banks and businesses owned by persons of color. I had a conversation with Cynthia Scott a while ago, and that reinforced this type of awareness and recognition. So based on that conversation, we decided to develop a program that provides community development block grant money as a collateral support in order to incentivize the lending from a financial institution. So this is an innovative use of community development block grant money. This is a very innovative partnership between the city, the mayor's office, the community development office, Rhode Island Black Business Association, and Freedom National Bank. The specific program details can get a little bit fuzzy, so I'll try not to bore people with that. Basically, we put a cash deposit in Freedom National Bank, and that provides the collateral necessary for the business to secure a bank loan from Freedom National Bank. This actually minimizes the risk between, for the city, minimizes the risk for the bank, minimizes the risk for the business. Everyone sort of wins in this program. So I do appreciate everything that Rhode Island Black Business Association does to facilitate the lending. They screen the applicants, they work with the businesses, they make them capital ready, they provide all the sort of resources necessary. They facilitate the relationship between the individual business and the financial institution, Freedom National Bank. The city provides our CDBG funds as a collateral, and poof, we have JC Electric as a recipient of our bank lending from Freedom National Bank. So, I just want to summarize real quickly. It seems like there is there's a recognized need for a program like this in order to make sure that small businesses and minority-owned businesses owned by persons of color, have access to capital that can promote their growth and promote their expansion and really focus on additional hiring. Economic growth without inclusive growth is actually ultimately destructive to the economy, because if you do not include populations of color in that economic growth, you are actually leaving out large segments of the economy, and that is ultimately destructive. So expanding economic opportunity for communities of color is actually the easiest and most efficient way to promote social progress, and this is as part of Martin Luther King's dream, is to really sort of provide opportunities for economic development, economic progress, and social progress for all of America, not just specific populations of America. So we're very, very happy to provide our assistance in making this happen, but here's the woman who's the catalyst. So thank you all very much.
This is the best part. So JC Electric, we're so excited about this. John Cruz has been a member of RIBBA for the last 5 years. John comes to all of our events. He's a fabulous business owner, and he's just an awesome person. And then, partnered with my good friend Tony Batella from Freedom Bank. They're going to come up. Tony's going to do the presentation to John. And again, this is our first loan. So we're really excited to kick off our first loan with Mr. John Cruz. So Tony and John, would you come up?
If I just could take a moment just to say a few words. First of all, thank you to all our elected officials, both federal and state, for being here. We really appreciate the support. Also, I want to thank the partnership that we have now fostered with both RIBBA and the City of Providence. And Mayor, if you don't mind, I think Brian Hill makes a great marketing spokesperson for Freedom National Bank. So I only counted 7 times, Brian. You're slipping a little bit, but that's okay. But no, thank you so much for the kind words. And what can we say about RIBBA and, of course, Lisa's leadership? In terms of freedom, we're just honored to be here this evening. It's kind of ironic, but I also think very appropriate during Dr. King's weekend and his birthday coming up, that the word Freedom National Bank, I think that's very appropriate. And also I want to thank one of our board of directors, Gary Azofsky, who's in the audience. Gary, thank you for your continued support. And also, most importantly, John Cruz. I've had the pleasure of meeting John recently. He is truly a man. He's truly a man of character. He's a hard worker. He's an employer. We're honored. And when he was in the office the other day, actually we were closing on the loan, I said, John, you're a pioneer. And he looked at me and he said, someone had to open the door. So, John, congratulations. Freedom National Bank, we just want to make this a presentation to you, John Cruz, JK Electric. Congratulations, you're truly a pioneer. Thank you. And if I just could lastly also thank my colleagues, Eric Chapman, who's in the back of the room. Eric runs our small business loan program, and Marissa Du Bois, who works with Eric closely. They're very passionate about small business, so get to know them.
I just want to say thank you to Tony.
John, you want to go to the mic?
Sure. Yeah. I just wanted to say thank you, Tony and Lisa. It's I'm kind of speechless a little bit. Okay, thanks again.
of course, I must recognize our Director of the Collateral Support Program, Kareem Kesson, back there. Kareem? So just so you know, you can reach out to Kareem. He's awesome. He'll get your loan package ready, and he will get you on your way. And it's actually a 48-hour close-in. It's really fast. So again, if you're in Providence, you have been in business for about 3 years, certainly call us, 383-1179. All right, so moving along the program, we have Speaker Nick Mattiello. He's going to come up and share some remarks. Speaker?
Thank you, Lisa. It's my pleasure and honor to be here to bring the greetings of the House among such wonderful people in such a great segment of our community. So thank you for having me, and thank you for all you do, Lisa, and the Black Business Association. The collaboration and the hard work on your part is wonderful. Lisa stays in touch with me. She advocates. She's tough. She's bright. And she's great. So you owe her a round of applause. She's wonderful. And I just want to recognize some friends in the room, some colleagues in government. Representative Joe Almeida, Representative Bob Lancia, Representative Ray Hull, Representative John Philippe Barros, Representative James McLaughlin, Mayor Elorza, our General Treasurer Seth Magazina, our Senator Harold Metz, all folks that work hard on everybody's behalf, primarily and to a great part the minority community. James Vincent, my constituent and a great friend and advocate that's always in my office directing me in the right way. So we all need redirection once in a while, and it's wonderful to have friends that bring us information and help us recognize what's important. And what I've learned in public service is that as you're creating opportunity, you have to give access. And so it's very fitting that on Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday weekend, and it's a pleasure to be here with you at this great time, but he left us too early, but he taught us some wonderful lessons that individual dignity, community, freedom, justice, social justice, it's important to, number one, to be fair, number two, to a healthy, robust economy where we're happy and at peace and all thriving. And you can't have all of those good things without economic equality and access. So that where there are barriers, we have to work on removing those barriers. And where there are friction points, we have to work on removing those friction points. And, that's why I indicate when Lisa comes in and works with me and explains how we can do that, when James Vincent comes in and explains how we can do that, it gives us a pathway to figure out how to make the lives of folks better. So I love and appreciate that advocacy. Thank you all that do it. And, one of my oldest friends in the House of Representatives, Joe Almeida. Anyone that knows both of us knows I love Joe. He's just a great advocate. Carlos Tabone also just came in, Representative Tabone. Thank you for being here. But Joe is a strong advocate with a big heart that works tirelessly for the minority community. And we've had some wonderful conversations. And when you're having conversations and collaboration, you learn off each other and you make yourselves and the system and society better. So thank you, Joe. Ray Hull, the same thing. He gives me great perspective. So we're going to continue to work, the House of Representatives and all of my friends in government. I don't speak for anyone else, but I'm sure we all share this. We're going to work towards economic equality and justice and removing barriers. And to the extent that you all out there can work on showing me pathways to do that, please continue the collaboration. Thank you, and have a wonderful weekend. And I hope to continue to celebrate it with a lot of you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Speaker. Really appreciate your remarks. So we've been celebrating, 5 years, the great work that we've been doing, and certainly it's all about partnership. How do we ensure that we're breaking down barriers and we're creating opportunities? Access to capital, we know, is very important for small business development. We also know when small businesses are doing well and thriving, they create needed jobs, which is so desperately required to sustain families and communities. We know when people are doing well, communities thrive, and we know all of that has a domino effect on the overall state's economy. So it is really a win-win across the board. So it's not just about supporting black business, but really about supporting all businesses, but ensuring that if there are a community out there that are hurting, whatever the needs are, we have to step up and deliver together. So as many of you know, the Rhode Island Black Business Association is an organization that is open to the public. Our focus and priority has been around business development, opportunities for business. But, they said we have to expand. Hey, you're doing a fabulous job in that, business development stuff, but you really need to step up and take it to the next level. So before I actually ask Dr. William Bundy to come up, I'm actually going to have our General Treasurer, Seth Magaziner, to come up and share a few words.
Thank you, everyone. First of all, thank you for having me here. Second of all, congratulations on having such a wonderful, dynamic, energetic leader in Lisa Rangland. Thank you so much. She's a benefit not only to RIBBA, but really to the whole state, as is the leadership of the organization. You do a terrific job. I'll be brief. I had the opportunity, when I was an even younger man than I am now, to go and live and work as a teacher in a predominantly African-American community in Louisiana, Opelousas, Louisiana. And I always say, when I'm talking to young people, if you have the opportunity to spend some time living and working in a community different than the one you grew up in, you should take it. Spend some time living in a community different economically, racially, whatever it may be, whether it's in the U.S., overseas. Spend some time, see what it's like, and see what it's like to experience being the other. That's something that everybody, if they have the opportunity, should learn and experience. And when I was down there teaching, I remember very vividly, majority African-American community, the school that I taught in, a lot of the kids that I taught, their families were on the margins. Kids coming to school hungry, kids coming to school tired because they've been up all hours of the night dealing with who knows what. And I realized that it was because, even though the community was majority African American, the town, the economic structure of the community was not. The business leaders around the community were predominantly white. The wealthier people in the community were predominantly white. And as Jim Vincent said, and as Senator Metz said, and others, one of the things that Dr. King realized was that racial justice and economic justice are linked. And coming out of that experience, I decided to go to business school. I decided to work for a socially responsible investment firm. I decided to get into public service because I wanted to be working toward helping to break down those economic barriers for everyone. That's what drives me. That's why I do what I do today, because we want to help people go from being wage earners to entrepreneurs. We want to help people go from being borrowers to being savers. We want to help people become economically empowered because it is all linked. And that's why the work of this organization is so important, to promote business, to promote entrepreneurship, to promote people who are looking to strike out and become economic leaders for our state. So I want to thank you again for all that you do. I think that this is a very fitting way to begin MLK weekend. And I want to thank everybody here, whatever your background, for getting it, for understanding that racial equality, economic justice, that it is all linked, and that's what we got to work toward. So thank you very much.
So expanding again, we are the sort of closing the gap. So when we see there's a need in our community, as leaders, we step up. So we've been focusing over the last 5 years on business development, ensuring that companies have access to capital, access to contracting, and now we're expanding. So as we look across the state and as we evaluate the top 25 companies in Rhode Island and also in state government, we realize that there has been a lack of leaders from the community of color in senior roles. So yes, we have sprinkles of them here and there. We're here to announce that that is not enough. As we think about the change in demographic, as we think about 2040, we know Rhode Island will be about 40% people of color by 2040. We have to step up as a state and ensure that diverse candidates are being included in the pipeline for senior roles. It is not good enough to just say we're going to include people of color in the low-tier jobs, and those are important. But we must recognize that we have leaders in the community of color. And this initiative that we're starting, we're really excited about it, and I'm going to have Dr. Bundy come up and share a little bit about this initiative and how we're going to partner with the top 25 companies as well as city and state government. Dr. Bundy.
Well, last night I had the opportunity to attend the reading of the Birmingham letter Martin Luther King wrote while he was in jail. It's an inspiring letter, and I think it leaves us all with an understanding of where we ought to go personally and as a community into the future. 1966, I was just returning from a deployment overseas. I was headed home. I was in Penn Station, in uniform in those days, preparing to get on a train to go back to Baltimore. And there was a gentleman standing near the gate, and it was Martin Luther King. I had the chance to speak with him for about 10 minutes or so before his aide showed up. I stole a little bit of time with Martin Luther King to talk to him personally. That inspired me, and I think those kinds of inspirations last a lifetime. And so when Lisa asked me to get involved in the Executive Leadership Council initiative, I said yes. In my own career at the Navy, at what turned into Fleet Boston and is now Bank of America, and as I served in the state government here as the Director of Transportation, and now being involved with the Rhode Island Black Heritage Society, to move that society from looking long at the past, but to recognize where we came from and really start to energize and move African Americans and people of African ancestry forward. I thought that this was an appropriate thing for me to become involved in. So the council is going to be designed to look at the top 25 businesses and government agencies in the state. That includes state government, and I think it should include federal government as well. When I walk around the Pentagon these days, I see a very diverse population. Many of them are senior GSs and SESs like myself. And it is important that we have that representation. But more important is that we have business leaders that look like the community that it serves. We had that approach at Fleet Boston, and I believe that approach should be in place today. We talk about the population today, the majority population today of people under 18 years old is minority. That is the majority. In 2040, we're going to have a very different demographic. And we need now to start to groom leaders, groom executives, so that we have representative leadership across the state. And so this program is set up to provide mentoring, to provide champions, and to provide access to professional career development for minorities. And we want to do that for students that are coming out of the junior colleges, community colleges, and out of the four-year institutions, to get them on a career path for executive positions in government and in business. And so if you think you would like to join me in this effort, please get in touch with the Rhode Island Black Business Association and volunteer your time. It is an investment in the future. I'd like to end with just kind of an input to you. When I served here in government, I was the only African American in the cabinet. I tried to reach out to other individuals to seek positions in the executive branch and to think about career paths. Some were not qualified. Some just were kind of content to be where they are. I argue that we need to invest in ourselves through education and taking the opportunity to move forward. And this Executive Leadership Council initiative will help us with that approach for junior executives, for students, and for individuals that are already in business. So I urge you to think about participating. Come join us with this process, and we're going to move Rhode Island forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bundy. Another important initiative that is going to be led out of the Rhode Island Black Business Association in partnership with companies and leaders across the state. And this is so important to me when I think of my role as Bank of America, and I challenge them just about every day. There's not many women of color in the bank. So I'm like the broken record. I'm continuing to say, hey, we got to step up and we have to do more. So if you are with a large company in the state of Rhode Island, if you work in city government, state government, I am going to challenge you to step up and make a commitment. Not a commitment to just says, I have a photo with some diverse people on the wall. Or to send out a photo with diverse people of color to say, we support diversity. That is not enough. I'm going to challenge you to step up and create sponsorship. Leaders in the Black community, the Latino community, we're not looking for mentors if we're in senior roles. We're actually looking for sponsors to move us into opportunities. So when I talk about sponsorship, I'm talking about someone that is willing to say, hey, Amika president over there, I know this young woman, Lisa Ranglin. She is awesome. I think she would be great for this role. Bob, thanks for being here. Again, that's an example. To our president of RIC is to say, to call and says, I have a candidate that I think would be great for this role. Again, it's about integrity, credibility. So I know that I'm not going to call Bob and say, hey Bob, here is someone that I don't think is ready or is equipped for that role. So I ask you to trust our community. Ensure that we're open in access, not just for some people, but for all people. I read an article last night. Ernst & Young actually removed the criteria, and some of you may have read it, a degree. You don't necessarily need a degree again to enter into Ernst & Young. So that's one of the top 4 accounting firms. That was announced yesterday. So think about that, because you're saying a college degree is not necessary that, you know, that bullet that is going to make that person this great resource, right? So again, it's to open it up to ensure that we're identifying people that are really brilliant and giving them opportunities. Not to say because someone has very outspoken and what have you, we're not going to give them opportunity because they're going to ruffle feathers. So, like me, I consider myself very stagnant. So I'm like the poster child. I am the poster child because I'm very outspoken around breaking down barriers. Not put me in an opportunity where I'm not going to excel, but rather put me in an opportunity where I can be challenged, where I can grow and develop. So if you're looking at, the community of color and thinking, well, and I've heard the story, we can't find qualified candidates, I am here to tell you, you don't have to worry anymore. Just call the Rhode Island Black Business Association. We will help you find them. And I know there's a lot of people that, I can't thank everyone, but again, I just want to say thank you so very much. You all could have been elsewhere, but you chose to spend the afternoon with us, and we are grateful. So again, as we celebrate this 5 year, it's going to be, stay tuned, more is coming. This is just a kickoff for a 5 year celebration, right? It is a kickoff. So there's going to be activities throughout the year. And then in October, we have our gala. That's our big, fundraiser, scholarship fundraiser. And to our sponsors that are here, again, if you gave us $5,000 last year, give us $10,000 this year. If you gave us $20,000 last year, step it up. So you have almost 10 months to think about it. So I challenge you to step up. Again, I thank you so much. We have lovely items out there for us to kind of network, meet some people that you haven't met before, make some new friends. But again, thank you so much for all you do for RIBBA and for the larger community.